This is WCPO 9 News.
Thanks for joining us for WCPO 9 News. I'm Tanya O'Rourke. Here's a look at some of today's top stories. More COVID-19 vaccine doses are coming to the mass vaccination site at the Cintas Center. Governor Mike DeWine says the site will get 5,000 doses a week starting next Wednesday. The state will receive a combination of Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer. Currently, the Pfizer vaccine is the only one authorized in the U.S. for people ages 16 and older. And that is important to remember since starting Monday, every Ohioan over 16 will be eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. And families are eager to get the shot so they can hold celebrations and reunions again. Some are planning to meet the newest babies in their family or go on vacations. The president and CEO of the Center for Closing the Health Gap says the vaccine ramp-up is like a light at the end of the tunnel.
The increased amount of vaccine, the increased access points, the big sites like Duke Energy and Cintas and all of the pop-up sites really give people greater ability to breathe again.
The Hamilton County Public Health Commissioner tells us it's safe for people to get together without a mask if the adults in the house are vaccinated. If two households get together, at least one of them needs to be vaccinated in order to take off their masks. So it looks like the historic First Lutheran bell tower in OTR is coming down. The church was told last July that the structure was unstable. Pastor Brian Ferguson says it's going to take about $2.5 million just to stabilize it. He says the church has done everything they can, but it has not been able to raise that kind of money. Meanwhile, the church cannot reopen while the bell tower is unstable. The Cincinnati Preservation Association is still holding out hope that it could be saved.
$2.5 million is a lot of money, but the impact of the tower goes well beyond the individual congregation and even the immediate setting of Washington Park. It's one of those character-defining features of Cincinnati.
Pastor Ferguson says the church could stay closed for another year so the tower can be repaired if they could even find the funding. For now, though, the church is going forward with the plan to tear down the tower this summer. Time to get a check of the forecast. Here's Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh.
Okay, Tanya, as we look at things, we're going to go with the rain and thunderstorms, as everybody could imagine around here. And the winds are going to be a big factor tonight. They'll be gusty and then could very well top 50 miles an hour late tonight in the overnight. Now, for tomorrow, we'll start off with some clouds, and it'll be a bit windy, but then mostly cloudy skies. Might even see some partly cloudy skies in spots. My 9-day forecast then shows 61 for tomorrow, but we're warming up nicely on Saturday. I have 72. A front comes in Saturday night. Could see a shower or two, and we will see some cooler air that knocks the temperature back down on Sunday. Next week, temperatures seasonal or maybe even a little bit warmer. And right now, the word seasonal is perfect for Thursday, an opening day for the Reds. Temperature in the forecast at 57. There's some leanings that we could very well see some temps in the 60s, though. It looks pretty good for opening day.
I'm Ariel Carbone. The city of Cincinnati will be able to use the $290 million in local stimulus money to support a laundry list of projects over the next 2 years, helping to not only bridge the budget gap, but also to support dozens of local initiatives and capital projects.
This is an exciting commitment and exciting leadership by our mayor, John Cranley, to transform our city.
The Ascend Cincy program, it's the latest program announced that could receive funding from the city's federal stimulus dollars.
This adds energy to the ecosystem of Cincinnati.
A proposed $5 million would help Black-owned businesses in Cincinnati grow and help minority business owners like Crystal Kendrick expand.
These funds are going to allow local Black-owned businesses that don't have employees to one day get employees.
It's just a small portion of the $290 million the city will receive. Here's a breakdown of how the city manager is proposing the money be spent. More than a third will go to the operating budget, including the budget deficit. A smaller portion will cover lost revenue due to the pandemic, and more than half would go to capital projects and city programs. The Cincinnati Recreation Commission could get $6 million for outdoor facility renovations. We spoke to Director Daniel Betts last month about the dire funding needs there.
CRC is overextended.
Plus, outdoor dining is slated for another $2 million. There's $5 million proposed for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and the arts about $12 million. Some of which will bring the Bling Festival back in 2022.
It'll come back, and we will all have an opportunity to come back well past this pandemic.
Altogether, helping the city survive post-pandemic.
When business owners thrive, communities thrive, and neighborhoods thrive.
And it's likely that some of these numbers will change as this proposal goes through the process with City Council. Now, we'll get a much more in-depth breakdown of all of the numbers for you up on our website. That's WCPO.com. Reporting from City Hall, I'm Ariel Carbone, WCPO 9 News.
I'm Josh Bazan. An Ohio woman is reuniting with a pet that has been missing for years and only recently turned up halfway across the country. We'll share her excitement and how the two were able to be brought back together.
And one day he just didn't come back. Didn't come back.
More than 5 years ago, Margaret Burcham lost her pet cat, Bernie. She says he was outside in her yard in Florence, but that's the last time she ever saw him.
And I looked and I called the shelters and finally just kind of accepted that he was never coming back.
Burcham moved to the Dayton area around the time Bernie went missing. All this time, she went without any news or any hope until last month.
Apparently, someone found Bernie in Central Texas, and they traced him back to me.
A volunteer with that organization in Texas happened to be driving through Cincinnati on a family vacation, so she put Bernie in the back seat and made sure he got home safely.
Oh, please let this be them. It's them. Oh my God. Put this down. Here is Mr. Bernie with his mommy. Hi, buddy. Oh my gosh.
A reunion 5 years in the making, but a reunion Burcham never expected to get.
I can't believe it. Look at him. Hi, buddy. You're like, what's going on?
There are still plenty of unanswered questions.
How did you end up in Texas? That's what I want to know. We need to talk.
But Burcham is thankful to have Bernie back in her arms.
I didn't think I was ever going to see you again. And now here we are. I'm so glad. How often does something like this happen? Just amazing. And all the way in Texas.
Someone found Bernie in Waco, Texas. He was clean and healthy, so volunteers assumed he had a local family. But the people who run the Heart of Texas Lost and Found Pets page found out he had a microchip and tracked it back to Burcham.
But to be able to come visit my family and bring somebody along and give them the joy of having their animal back, it just makes the trip that much worth it.
Nobody is exactly sure how Bernie ended up so far from home, but Burcham says that mystery is okay with her now that he's back where he belongs. In Winton Place, Josh Bazan, WCPO 9 News.
The suspect in the Colorado grocery store shooting made his first court appearance on Thursday. 21-year-old Ahmad Al-Aliwi Alisa faces 10 counts of murder for the deadly attack at King Soopers supermarket on Monday. A judge ruled Alisa will stay in jail without bond. The judge hasn't set the next hearing date, but he says it will be another 2 months or so. Investigators are still processing the crime scene, and Alisa's attorneys say they need to assess his mental health. Scammers have apparently taken billions from a program set up to help small businesses during this pandemic. Analysis released Thursday shows the Small Business Administration shelled out $79 billion to fill possible fraudulent requests for small business loans. The vast majority of that money went to applicants with duplicate addresses, emails, and bank accounts. The loans and advances were borrowed from the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. That program assists small business owners, nonprofits, and farmers who have suffered a financial hit due to the pandemic. Customs and Border Patrol isn't giving COVID tests to migrants in their facilities. That task is falling to non-governmental agencies and contractors. If a family tests positive, they are typically placed in quarantine by a non-governmental organization. Unaccompanied children are tested when they are transported to HHS intake centers. President Biden addressed the influx of migrants at the southern U.S. border on Thursday at a news conference.
There is a significant increase in the number of people coming to the border in the winter months of January, February, March. It happens every year.
Deaths from COVID aren't the only pandemic-related deaths researchers are focusing their attention on right now. A recent study found unemployment has led to tens of thousands of preventable deaths. For more than a year now,
my savings are exhausted. I'm in debt.
John Austin has been waiting for something, anything.
Sad that it's this way, is I'm relying on, like I say, family members to help me until that time comes. I mean, that shining light does come.
Last February, he lost his job and with it, his insurance. He was denied disability coverage and then extended unemployment.
Again, I'm just trying to cope and survive until that time comes.
It has led him to a place of need researchers estimate has taken the lives of more than 30,000 Americans in the last year.
This isn't a trade-off between disease or the cure or lockdown. It's all of it hitting them together, and we really have to see it as that.
Alicia Riley is a postdoctoral scholar at the University of California, San Francisco, the group that did the study on the side effects of the pandemic, preventable deaths that emanate from the economic fallout.
Unemployment can have consequences in terms of stress and prompting substance abuse. It can prompt suicide, economic crises that push people to extreme measures.
37% of the American workforce is made up of people with a high school education or less, but the study found those people made up 72% of those 30,000 deaths. A disparity, Alicia says, shows the burden that is placed on rural communities or communities of color where help is less readily available.
Is it a real big fear that, something might happen and you won't be able to afford it?
Well, it's not a fear, it's a fact.
Take it from John. A diabetic, he lives in a rural part of Tennessee where healthcare, jobs, and help to pay for his monthly insulin are scarce.
People get their health insurance through their employer, and so if they lose that, it can cause an increase in other types of disease, such as cancer, heart disease, things that would be preventable if they were getting the care they needed on time.
I'm not one that's asking for a handout or anything.
John is not here for pity.
I just want people to know, just like I wanted you to know, that yes, I'm out here and I'm trying to do the best I can.
But to show that for millions, this remains the reality of the pandemic. I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
Small businesses are often called the backbone of the American economy. To help them get back on their feet during COVID, the federal government has been issuing paycheck protection loans to them. Now there's an effort to make sure women and small business owners from communities of color don't get left behind. Many brides-to-be dream of finding the perfect dress for the big day. But at Elite Secrets Bridal, COVID-19 shutdowns nearly turned LaTanya Turnage's small business into a nightmare.
I can't even put into words how scary it was as a business owner.
When COVID hit, weddings hit the brakes. Turnage wondered if her Baltimore bridal shop would survive. She heard of the federal Paycheck Protection Program loans, but
I didn't think that was something that I would even qualify for.
So far in 2021, more than 2.7 million PPP loans have been approved, totaling over $181 billion. The average size of a loan, $66,000. How that breaks down by race and ethnicity is an incomplete picture. It's up to small business owners to volunteer that information, and many choose not to. But of those that do, the disparity in lending is massive. To try to address that, the Biden administration recently set aside several weeks to prioritize PPP loan applications from small businesses run by women or people of color.
A lot of the smaller businesses in our disinvested communities have less resources, and they also have less banking relationships, and the banking relationship was very key in the PPP loan process.
Colin Tarbert is president of the Baltimore Development Corporation, the city's economic development agency. Their concern matches those in most mid and large American cities. Communities of color were falling through the cracks of the PPP. Their solution? Bring together a network of grassroots organizations to target them.
So we had people on the ground that had relationships with small businesses in their community to be able to act as validators for the network.
It was almost like a dream come true.
Among the 1,500 small business owners they've helped so far, LaTanya Turnage.
There were a lot of bills that were coming in, and the money that we received really, it saved our business. It really saved our business.
A business that she says is just starting to bounce back.
We were like, oh my God, this is what we're talking about. We're starting to get back into doing what we love to do.
By helping others fulfill their own dreams.
Back to saying yes to the dress.
In Baltimore, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Gaming and esports are growing in popularity. One association is working to make sure everyone has equal opportunity in gaming and the esports industry as a whole.
So this is my monitor and then my LED keyboard.
This is Amani Daniels' gaming setup.
And then this is my box. I actually started out at 8.
She considers herself a gamer.
I got into League of Legends in my freshman year of high school, and I played that ridiculously. Like, I was addicted to that game for years.
And is currently studying cybersecurity in college.
When I was little, getting into gaming definitely influenced what I wanted to do when I went to college.
As Amani grew up and began playing games online with other users across the U.S. and the world, she started to get to know people and notice certain patterns.
Being a woman of color and being a gamer, I personally, it's rare that I come across a female in general, but it's even rarer that I come across a woman of color who plays games while I'm gaming.
That's something Keisha Walker wants to change.
I started gaming 35 years ago.
Keisha is the founder of the Black Collegiate Gaming Association, started last year and sparked by a visit Keisha made to her 11-year-old nephew.
So we started showing me professional gamers and the schools he wanted to attend, and nobody looked like me, and nobody looked like him. And I said, Jackson, doesn't concern you? And he was like, no, Auntie Keisha. He's like, gaming doesn't have a color. I said, that's great. I said, I wish the world was like you and your friends.
Women and people of color are underrepresented in the industry.
The numbers are sad.
Professional black gamers make up less than 1% of all professional gamers. When it comes to the esports industry as a whole, less than 3% of professionals are black, according to stats from the association.
But when you look at the numbers in terms of percentage of us that play, for recreational reasons and purposes, it's 70+% for blacks between ages of 13 and 24.
The association recently held Women Got Game, a virtual summit connecting college-aged women of color with others in the esports industry.
We want to start addressing those numbers as soon as possible and showing the industry that there are a lot of women out there that are interested and more importantly, qualified to play and work in the industry.
As Amani continues through college, she's playing a role with the association to help others like her see what possibilities are out there.
It's important to put the information out there to let other people know that it's possible and to know that something like this is achievable.
I'm Chloe Nordquist reporting.
Some Western companies are facing boycott in China. Sales of H&M, Nike, and other big brands are being impacted because of the company's positions on the alleged use of forced labor to produce cotton in some parts of the country. H&M said it was deeply concerned over reports of forced labor in the production of cotton in the region. A group linked to the ruling Communist Party recently posted the comment on a Chinese social media site. This handwritten job application may be worth more now than the actual job at the time. The single-page questionnaire was signed by Apple co-founder Steve Jobs in 1973. Wednesday, it was auctioned off for 162,000 British pounds. That's 222,384 American dollars. On the application, Jobs highlights his experience with computers and calculators. A year later, he joined Atari, where he met Steve Wozniak. They went on to create Apple in 1976. The rest, as they say, is history.
Hi there, I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Raleigh. As we check out your forecast tonight, it's going to be the rain and the storms. We still have the potential for severe weather. The biggest thing as we head to the overnight will be the winds. We're still going to be very gusty. Over and above the storms, we could see gusts of 50 miles an hour or better. And that'll continue into early tomorrow morning, but the winds will be subsiding somewhat through the day. I have a temperature of 61 degrees. Will be mostly cloudy, but in the afternoon, I think we'll go to partly cloudy skies overall. So let's take a look at my 9-day forecast. And as you look at it, we get warmer for the weekend. I've got a 72 on Saturday, but there's a front that comes through late Saturday night. So that will give us a chance for showers, and it'll certainly bring us some cooler air. So that's why I dropped the temperature to 60 on Sunday, but overall some sunshine for this weekend. Then a little bit down the line going into next week, we're looking at opening day and seasonal weather.
Candle sales have surged during the pandemic, with the National Candle Association reporting some divisions of the candle industry seeing a nearly 34% sales increase.
Think about what people are craving right now, being cooped up in their houses, not really leaving a lot. They're looking for an escape. They're looking for a way to just relax. Candles, specifically fragrance, really does that for people.
Lisa McCarthy is the president of home fragrances at Newell Brands, the parent company of Yankee Candle.
We're here today in our manufacturing facility in Western Massachusetts, and our facilities here locally were shut down for several months.
State-mandated closures were just one of several challenges manufacturers like Yankee Candle have had to deal with while trying to meet the surging demand.
And then we had another challenge that we totally didn't expect, which was a labor shortage, a really widespread labor shortage.
Over the past year, they haven't been able to get enough people back to work and enough people interested. They've been down 15 to 25% of their workforce, while demand has been at its highest.
We tried everything. I mean, wage increases, incentives, referral bonuses.
And I think that people seeing the effort that went in to adhere to social distancing, all of the CDC guidelines really helped to put people at ease.
Tom Labelli works at the factory in Massachusetts and says what is helping the most to get workers back into factories is them seeing all the new health and safety measures in place and realizing the level of job security in this industry right now, especially compared to some other industries.
It's invaluable to know that you can wake up and that your job is going to be there and you just need to show up, you need to work. That should be considered heavily for anyone that's looking for any job.
In addition to job security, especially for skilled factory workers, some manufacturers have raised wages by 25%. Great for those in need of a job. But some economists warn about the cost being passed on to consumers. Manufacturers have already signaled a price increase for items like TVs, fans, and lighting fixtures, although not quite yet for items like these high-demand candles. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
America is on the road to recovery, but apparently America has some work to do when it comes to keeping that road clean and tidy. Some environmental activists and everyday people blame the ongoing pandemic for an increase in roadside litter and illegal dumping. People are tossing everything from PPE to food containers right onto the street.
We'll have it all pretty and green and it's gorgeous in the summer. Then there's a McDonald's bag or beer cans.
One man blames remodeling projects for all the trash in his neighborhood.
This is your dumping ground.
Even hiking trails are being used as trash bins. One hiker has been making videos showing how much trash he's come across.
To expect the city or the county or the state to pick up after us and to take care of this conservation that we should be doing ourselves is unrealistic.
People across the U.S. have organized cleanups or started campaigns to stop the littering. Some cities have increased surveillance or proposed fines. At the end of the day, everyone has an important role in keeping communities clean.
From the Seven Hills
to the bluegrass, the riverbanks to the suburbs. This is home, where big dreams are born. A place to be creative, sing, and celebrate what unites us. Where we work hard to support our families, lend a helping hand to our neighbors in their time of need, celebrating the traditions and events that bring us together, learning from the past to build a better future, where everyone is welcome. And our roots run as deep as the love we have for this place. Because this is our home too. Owned by the same Cincinnati company for more than 70 years. And what matters to you matters to us.